My friends, there comes a time in every generation when ordinary people must rise to extraordinary challenges. We are living in such a time. The question is not whether the world will change, it already is. The question is, will you change with it? Will you be prepared? Will you build a mind so strong that even the storms of life bow in respect? I have met farmers who had nothing but their hands and a dream, yet they built businesses that now feed nations. I have met mothers who raised children in poverty, yet produced leaders who now govern cities. They were not born with more strength than you. They were not given more years than you. The difference was the power of their minds. Your greatest battlefield is not outside you, it is within you. It is the space between your ears. The voices of doubt, the weight of fear, the chains of excuses, they live there. And yet that same space carries the ability to imagine, to create, to overcome. If you dare to build your mind, nothing, no poverty, no rejection, no obstacle can defeat you. You must train your mind the way a warrior sharpens a sword. Discipline it with knowledge. Strengthen it with vision. Protect it with faith. Feed it with hope. Because when your mind is strong, your life cannot be weak. History does not remember those who surrendered to fear. It remembers those who stood up when everything was against them. A young boy named David faced a giant not with armor, but with belief. A woman named Rosa Parks sat down, and her simple act of courage stood up for millions. Ordinary people, extraordinary minds. So I ask you today, what will you build? A mind that collapses under pressure, or a mind so strong that it frightens fear itself? Will you be a victim of your environment, or will you transform your environment with the force of your thoughts? The future is not waiting for the powerful, it is waiting for the prepared. Build a mind so strong that when life looks at you, it whispers, "This one cannot be broken." And when you walk out of here, remember this: the world is not changed by those who complain. The world is changed by those who believe. Build your mind, guard your heart, strengthen your spirit. Because when your mind is strong, your destiny is unstoppable. Rise up, stand tall, and build a mind so strong it scares people. My friends, listen carefully. Your greatest battle in life is not happening around you, it is happening inside of you. The real fight is not with your neighbor, not with your employer, not with the government, and not even with your circumstances. The real fight is in your mind. The voices you hear when no one else is around. The whispers of doubt that say, "You're not good enough, you don't have what it takes, it's too late for you." That's the battlefield. Every morning when you wake up, before you even leave your room, you are already standing on that battlefield. And let me tell you something, the enemy is not always visible. You don't see it marching down the street. You don't hear it knocking on your door. But you feel it when fear grips your chest. You feel it when anxiety keeps you awake at night. You feel it when discouragement makes you want to quit before you even try. That's the war of the mind. Now, why is this so important? Because everything you will ever achieve, every mountain you will ever climb, every giant you will ever defeat, it begins in your mind first. The mind is the soil, and your thoughts are the seeds. If you plant doubt, you will harvest defeat. If you plant fear, you will reap failure. But if you plant courage, discipline, and vision, you will reap victory. The battlefield is within, but so is your victory. Think about it. A young boy named David once stood before a giant called Goliath. Everyone else saw a monster too big to fight, but David's mind was different. He had trained his thoughts in faith. He had rehearsed victory long before the battle. So while others trembled, David's mind told him, "This giant is too big to miss." The giant was defeated not by a stone, but by a mindset. And it's not only in ancient stories. Look at the people around you, even in your own community. The single mother working 2 jobs, raising her children with dignity and hope. She is fighting a battlefield in her mind every day. The student who studies late at night, despite being told he will never amount to anything, he is fighting that battlefield in his mind. The man who lost his job but decides to start again, to learn a new skill, to build a business from scratch. His greatest enemy is not unemployment. It is the thoughts that try to convince him to give up. You see, life doesn't defeat you with the blows it throws on the outside. It defeats you when those blows begin to echo on the inside. When the world says, "You can't," and your mind begins to agree, that is when you lose. But if the world says, "You can't," and your mind says, "Watch me," that is when you win. The greatest prison is not made of steel bars. It is made of limiting beliefs. How many people have been locked up for years, not because the door was closed, but because their mind told them it was? How many dreams have been buried alive, not because they were impossible, but because someone believed the lie that they were? I need you to hear me. Your thoughts are architects. Every thought is building a future, brick by brick. If your thoughts are small, your future will be small. If your thoughts are negative, your future will be filled with walls of limitation. But if your thoughts are expansive, bold, and filled with faith, you will build a future that cannot be contained. This is why discipline of the mind is so critical. Just like a soldier trains for battle, you must train your thoughts for the fight. You must filter what you allow in. You cannot feed your mind with fear all day and expect to stand with courage tomorrow. You cannot entertain negative voices and expect to walk with confidence. You cannot constantly focus on what's missing and expect to experience abundance. The battlefield is within. That means you must guard the gates of your mind. Be careful what you hear, what you see, and what you repeat. Because every word you hear is a seed, and every seed seeks to take root. You must choose carefully which ones you water. When doubt comes knocking, answer it with faith. When fear whispers, speak louder with courage. When excuses rise up, silence them with discipline. Understand this: your life is not destroyed by the battles you lose outside. It is destroyed by the wars you surrender to inside. But the opposite is also true. Your life is not built by what you conquer outside. It is built by what you conquer inside. When your inner world is strong, no outer world can defeat you. Your life will always follow the direction of your mind. If your thoughts are weak, your life will reflect weakness. If your thoughts are strong, your life will reflect strength. It is impossible to live a powerful life with a fragile mind. That is why the greatest investment you can ever make is not in gold, not in property, not even in wealth. It is in the development of your mind. Think for a moment about a tree. A tree does not begin with branches, fruit, or shade. It begins with roots hidden beneath the soil. Those roots determine how tall, how strong, and how fruitful the tree will become. Your mind is the root system of your life. Every decision, every relationship, every opportunity, every response, it all flows from what is rooted in your thoughts. When the roots are deep, storms cannot break the tree. When the roots are shallow, even a gentle wind can bring it down. In the same way, when your mind is strong, your life cannot be shaken. Consider the stories of people who changed the world. Albert Einstein was told as a child that he would never amount to much, yet he trained his mind to think differently. He didn't accept the labels placed on him. Instead, he cultivated curiosity, imagination, and discipline. His mind became so strong that it reshaped the way humanity understood the universe. Mahatma Gandhi, without weapons or armies, brought down an empire because he possessed a mind stronger than fear. His body was frail, but his thoughts were powerful, unshakable, disciplined. Strengthen the mind, and life will follow. Too often, we spend our energy strengthening everything else while neglecting the very thing that determines it all. We exercise the body, but we leave the mind untrained. We chase after money, but we do not sharpen our wisdom. We build businesses, but we do not build vision. That is why people can have success in their hands, but still feel empty in their hearts. The outside looks strong, but the inside is collapsing. Let me remind you, a strong mind is not built overnight. It is built daily, choice by choice. Just as muscles grow when you challenge them with resistance, your mind grows when you challenge it with discipline. You cannot allow your thoughts to drift aimlessly and expect strength. You must direct them, shape them, and guard them. How do you strengthen the mind? First, through knowledge. What you know determines how you see. A person who lacks knowledge will live small, not because life is small, but because their perspective is small. Knowledge expands the borders of your mind, and when the borders expand, your possibilities expand. Second, through vision. Vision gives your mind a target. Without vision, the mind becomes scattered, easily distracted, easily discouraged. But with vision, your mind becomes focused, disciplined, and determined. Vision trains your thoughts to see beyond what is into what can be. Third, through faith. Faith is the anchor that keeps the mind steady when life begins to shake. Faith speaks louder than fear. Faith tells your mind, yes, it is possible. Without faith, the mind crumbles under pressure. With faith, the mind endures until breakthrough. And fourth, through hope. Hope is the fuel of the mind. Without hope, your thoughts become heavy, your imagination dark, your spirit weary. But when hope is alive, the mind becomes light, creative, resilient. Hope gives you the strength to try again, even after failure. When you combine knowledge, vision, faith, and hope, you build a mind that cannot be easily moved. And once your mind is strong, your life begins to align with that strength. You start to make better decisions. You start to choose relationships that lift you instead of drain you. You start to see opportunities where others only see obstacles. You start to endure challenges that once broke you. Your life changes because your thoughts have changed. This is why weak thinking produces weak living. A person can be physically healthy, financially stable, and socially accepted, yet if their mind is weak, they will sabotage their own life. They will settle for less. They will doubt their own abilities. They will hand over their destiny to fear. But a person with a strong mind, even if they are poor, even if they are struggling, even if they are underestimated, they will rise. Because life always submits to the strength of the mind. You must understand this truth. Strength does not begin with the body. It does not begin with circumstances. It does not begin with resources. Strength begins in the mind. And when the mind is disciplined, vision-driven, faith-filled, and hope-fueled, your life cannot remain the same. Greatness has never been reserved for the privileged few. History is not only written by kings and generals, but by men and women who began as ordinary people, yet carried within them extraordinary minds. The difference between the person who changes the world and the one who remains forgotten is not always wealth, status, or background. It is the quality of their thinking. Think about it. Thomas Edison was not born into luxury. He was a boy who struggled in school, a child told by his teacher that he was too stupid to learn anything. But his mind refused to accept that label. He became curious, inventive, and relentless. He failed more than 1,000 times in his attempt to create the light bulb, but each failure became fuel for his determination. He was ordinary in birth, but extraordinary in mind. And because of that, his thoughts gave us light. Rosa Parks was an ordinary seamstress living in a time when her dignity was questioned because of the color of her skin. She had no political power, no military strength, no wealth to fight with. Yet on a bus one evening, her mind told her, enough is enough. She refused to give up her seat, and that single act sparked a movement that transformed a nation. She was ordinary in circumstance, but extraordinary in thought. And look at Malala Yousafzai, just a young girl who wanted to go to school. She had no throne, no kingdom, no title. Yet her mind was filled with courage. Even after being attacked, she stood stronger, and her voice became louder. Today, leaders of nations listen to her words. She was ordinary in age, but extraordinary in mind. Ordinary people with extraordinary minds are the ones who bend history, who break barriers, who redefine what is possible. They show us that strength is not measured by appearance, but by resilience of thought. The tragedy of life is not that people are born without potential. The tragedy is that many never awaken the extraordinary power of their own minds. Too many are convinced that greatness belongs to someone else, that success is for the privileged, that leadership is reserved for the gifted. But what separates leaders from followers, visionaries from spectators, innovators from imitators, is not their birth, but their mindset. Your environment may be ordinary, but your mind can rise above it. Your background may be ordinary, but your mind can create a future beyond it. Your resources may be limited, but your mind has no limits. What matters is not where you start, it's what you choose to think, believe, and pursue. I have seen people who were told they would never amount to anything become teachers, doctors, and business owners. I have seen young men raised in poverty become leaders in their communities. I have seen people who were counted out become the ones who made the greatest impact. Their secret was not luck. Their secret was not chance. Their secret was the strength and vision of their mind. This is why you must never underestimate the power of a thought. A single idea has the power to change nations. A single dream can transform generations. A single vision can turn defeat into destiny. Ordinary people step into greatness when they refuse to accept the limits placed on them and instead embrace the extraordinary possibilities within their own minds. Think about it. Every invention, every movement, every revolution, every breakthrough in human history began in the mind of an ordinary person. The airplane began in the mind of two bicycle makers, the Wright brothers. The civil rights movement was ignited by the resolve of ordinary citizens who believed in freedom. The world you see today is the result of thoughts once ridiculed, dismissed, or doubted, until extraordinary minds made them reality. So when you look at yourself, stop saying, I'm just an ordinary person. That word just has destroyed too many dreams. There is no just about you. Within you is a mind capable of building, leading, creating, transforming. Within you is a mind capable of imagining what has never been seen and producing what has never been done. The question is not whether you are ordinary. The question is whether your mind will rise to become extraordinary. The difference between people who are controlled by life and those who control life is simple: the strength of the mind. Weak minds are shaped by environments. Strong minds shape environments. A person with a fragile way of thinking will always adjust themselves to the conditions around them. But a person with a strong, disciplined, and determined mind does not merely adapt, They transform. Look at history. Every great movement, every major change, every revolution was born from people who refused to let their environment dictate their destiny. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, 27 years behind bars. His environment was meant to break him, to crush his spirit, to silence his voice. Yet his mind remained unshaken. He used those years to sharpen his vision, strengthen his convictions, and prepare himself for leadership. When he was released, he did not just walk out as a prisoner freed. He walked out as a leader prepared to free a nation. His environment tried to shape him into a victim, but his mind shaped him into a victor. Think about people in your own life. You have seen families raised in the same poverty, under the same roof, with the same limitations. Yet one sibling rises, builds and creates, while another remains trapped. The difference is not the environment. They both shared it. The difference is the mindset. One surrendered to what was, the other believed in what could be. Weak minds complain about environments. They say, it's too hard, the economy is too bad, the world is unfair, nobody helps me. They blame their surroundings for their state. But strong minds take the same environment and turn it into opportunity. They say, yes, it's difficult, yes, it's unfair, but I will rise anyway. I will create, I will build, I will transform. A strong mind sees beyond what is visible. It refuses to be defined by the noise around it. Instead, it carries an inner vision so powerful that the outer world eventually bends to it. When Martin Luther King Jr. stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and declared, "I have a dream," his environment was filled with injustice and division, but his mind painted a vision of unity and equality. And that vision began to shape a new environment. Let me tell you something important. Your environment does not determine your destiny, your mindset does. You can be born in scarcity but think in abundance. You can be surrounded by negativity but choose to speak hope. You can walk through valleys of despair but still imagine mountains of possibility. The world outside you may be unstable, but the world inside you can remain unshakable. I want you to imagine a thermostat and a thermometer. A thermometer simply reflects the environment. It rises when it's hot, it falls when it's cold. It has no power to change, only to react. That is the picture of a weak mind. But a thermostat does not reflect. It sets the temperature. It decides the atmosphere. It dictates the environment around it. That is the picture of a strong mind. When you strengthen your thoughts, you stop being reactive and start being transformative. Even in business, this principle is true. There are leaders who build companies not because the market was favorable, but because their minds were strong enough to create new opportunities. While others complained about competition, they created innovation. While others feared failure, they developed strategies. Their environment followed the direction of their thinking. And in personal life, the same applies. A strong mind in a marriage can turn bitterness into reconciliation. A strong mind in a community can turn division into unity. A strong mind in a classroom can turn a discouraged child into a hopeful learner. Wherever it is placed, a strong mind becomes a force of transformation. The danger is allowing your environment to dictate who you are, because if you let it, your environment will shrink. It will convince you that you cannot rise higher than your surroundings. But the truth is, the greatest leaders in history came from the most difficult environments. They did not succeed because life gave them permission. They succeeded because their minds gave them direction. So ask yourself, are you a thermometer or a thermostat? Are you simply reflecting the atmosphere of your environment, or are you shaping it? Are you waiting for conditions to improve, or are you creating conditions that improve? The strength of your mind will always determine the answer. The future does not reward the strongest, it does not reward the fastest, and it does not reward the loudest. The future belongs to those who are prepared. Opportunity does not wait for the unready. Destiny does not pause for the uncommitted. The doors of tomorrow will not open for those who are still stuck in yesterday. The future is reserved for the men and women who have trained their minds, disciplined their habits, and prepared their lives for what is coming. Preparation is the invisible work that produces visible results. When you see a musician perform with excellence, you are witnessing hours, days, and years of practice hidden from the crowd. When you see an athlete win a medal, you are witnessing the sweat, the early mornings, the pain, the discipline that no one applauded. When you see a leader rise, you are witnessing the preparation of thought, character, and vision long before the spotlight appears. The world celebrates results, but heaven rewards preparation. There is a story in the scriptures of 5 wise virgins and 5 foolish virgins. They were all invited, they were all expected, they all had the same opportunity. But the difference was preparation. The foolish came with lamps but no oil. The wise brought oil in abundance. And when the time came, the prepared entered into destiny while the unprepared were left behind. This is not just a story, it is a principle of life. Many people carry lamps of potential but no oil of preparation. And when opportunity knocks, they discover that dreams without preparation end in disappointment. Look around you. The people who seem to rise suddenly did not rise suddenly at all. They were preparing quietly while no one noticed. The entrepreneur who launches a breakthrough product was studying, learning, and failing for years before the breakthrough came. The student who received the scholarship was preparing while others were distracted. The leader who steps into history was developing character while others were chasing applause. The future belongs to those who refuse to waste the present. Preparation is not glamorous. It is often lonely. It is waking up earlier than others, staying focused when others are distracted, practicing when others are playing, reading when others are sleeping. Preparation requires sacrifice, but that sacrifice becomes the seed of future harvest. You will never reach a tomorrow you have not prepared for today. Do not be deceived by appearance. A person may look successful for a moment, but without preparation, their foundation will collapse. True success is not about reaching a place, it is about staying there. And only preparation can sustain you in the places your talent carries you. Talent can open the door, but preparation keeps you in the room. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned unjustly. His environment did not look like preparation. Yet every moment was shaping his character, his wisdom, his leadership. By the time he stood before Pharaoh, he was not just a prisoner released, he was a leader prepared. And in one day, his preparation met opportunity, and he rose to govern a nation. This is the truth. Opportunities are everywhere, but they belong to the prepared. Life is full of open doors, but only those who are ready can walk through them. If the door opened today, would you be ready? If the opportunity appeared this week, would you have the discipline, the skill, the wisdom, the strength to step into it? Many pray for opportunities they are not yet prepared to handle. The future belongs to the prepared, not the wishful. Preparation strengthens the mind. It sharpens your vision. It builds resilience for when the storms come. It creates confidence because you know you have done the work. Prepared people do not fear the future. They welcome it. Prepared people do not run from challenges. They rise to them. Prepared people do not wait for conditions to be perfect. They are ready to create perfection out of imperfection. My friends, we have walked through a great truth together, that the greatest battlefield is not outside but within. That when you strengthen your mind, you strengthen your life. That ordinary people become extraordinary when they decide to think beyond limits. That a strong mind is not a prisoner of its environment but a force that shapes it. And that the future does not belong to chance, but to those who prepare for it with vision, faith, and discipline. This is the call of our time, to rise above excuses, to silence the voices of doubt, and to build minds so powerful that fear itself trembles. Do not wait for someone else to create your future. Do not wait for the world to give you permission. The power to transform your life has been in your thoughts all along. So as you leave here today, remember this: nations rise and fall on the strength of their people's minds. Families prosper or perish by the strength of their vision. And your destiny will unfold in direct proportion to the strength of your inner world. Build a mind so strong it scares people. Build a mind so strong that your circumstances bow in respect. Build a mind so strong that when history looks back, it will say, there lived a man, there lived a woman who refused to surrender, who dared to believe, and who transformed their world.